Hello, everyone. It's another Tuesday on Yourview. Welcome to the show. I am Morayo Afolabi Brown. As always, I have the ladies with me. YK in the building. We miss you, Bear. How you doing?
London girl.
No, you're the London woman.
Yeah, London
How is everything? How are you? Looking gorgeous. Look rested.
Thank you.
Look
It was not an easy trip. Hey. My brother's 5 children, plus my 2 grandchildren. I was
the house full.
Exhausted.
Yeah.
I was exhausted. I used to want to scream at the top of my voice, you know. You want to go out with them is wahala. They will run back for something. They will fight.
Something.
No.
Forget something. Then the ones trying to drive the scooter.
You're forgetting how it is.
You have to also push the pram to carry the baby. And she refused to enter the pram.
There was a day that Bisayo, she's 10, was wheeling the pushchair. We went to buy a birthday gift for Tumishe, who was 15, who had turned 15. I paid, left them with the smaller ones, came out, we are now walking. We had left the shop, we had gone. When the other 15-year-old says,
"Where's the baby?
Where is Ayure?"
She was in the pram.
She was not in the pram. Bisayo was not pushing the pram. Empty.
Basically.
You know, then all of them started running into the shop. I couldn't even run. I just stood looking. Oh, God. Oh, God.
What now happened?
When did they find
The
out?
girl was in the shop waiting for them.
Oh.
Anyway, was there.
Just waited.
Maybe she was looking at the things she couldn't buy.
What Larry would have done to you. He did not see her child.
I said I just stood. I didn't even run. I just said, well.
The thought
At this point, I was frustrated. Another day, they went into the shop. Erin McPeda's famous 3-year-old now stole something and then came out of the shop. The thing didn't even ring. She was now hiding. They found the toy. What are you doing with this toy? Man.
You never do this again.
Never. It can't happen. It can't happen again.
Mariah, when you travel with your children.
That's why this trip was fantastic. Just me, myself, and I. You know that I said this might be first and last trip alone. Let me just do it now because there's no way I'll be allowed to go by myself. So, oh wow, well, I'm sure at the end of the day, at least you got back, you rested.
Oh my God.
Last week, I just moved to Lekki. I went to go and stay with you. I said, like, then this guy was not calling me. Where are you now? I said, I'm not missing you. Don't call me. Don't call me.
That's harsh, man.
But good to have you back. That's grammar duties at the highest level.
We have missed you.
Yeah, good to have you. How are you doing, Nima?
Grateful to God. These kids will not stop amazing us. My school stopped lunch. I've never had to cook lunch for my kids since they started at school. And one of the reasons I love this school is because they arrange lunch. But this morning I woke up 2 a.m. That means I didn't sleep. I made lunch and I wanted to pack it. My son said, "You see what? Don't bother. I don't eat it anyway."
Imagine.
That's their night food. Just flax it. I'm done cooking for today. They will eat it at night. Whatever happens.
That's good. How are you doing, Mariam?
I'm fine. Really.
How's your own back to school story going?
My back to school, you know, the other one is gone.
That's gone, yes.
So I just have one child at home. It feels so good. The peace and
boarding
quiet.
house?
Yes.
You
I
won
did
the
it.
battle.
I did it.
Imagine.
You won the battle.
I didn't know, but this is good for him.
It was a compromise,
Yeah, it's good for him. Yes.
But the little girl.
Let me even say it because I think it affects a lot of parents. So because of the roadworks happening, when we're doing logistics was just so hard taking him to school and back, and we figured that day school right now because the roadworks are still ongoing, so we had to put that into consideration. So this is something we're doing temporarily. We'll see how it works. If the roads are better and, you know, traffic is easier, we'll just go back.
Is a sibling missing her sibling?
Not at all. She was excited. She was like, I have the remote to myself. Imagine. Oh, Bluey Marathon was showing through yesterday and nobody interrupted me. I'm so excited.
Imagine that. These kids are just unbelievable. Well, I'm really excited. Tomorrow, our own school starts tomorrow, so I'm doing some last-minute things. I mean, we're ready, but just for me to hear this morning that they don't have tie. Like, you're just telling me that there's no tie. Now I have to start looking for tie for the kids, but hey, that's life. What you gonna do? Let's go on a break now. When we come back, we go through the front pages of the papers. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Yourview will be right back.
Thanks for staying with us. We're going to start with the nation. PDP crisis, I will crush my distractors, says Wike. Worst of insecurity is over, federal government tells Nigerians. FG suspends 5% tax on telecom services. Petrol scarcity looms as Ipman stops supply. How Tinubu's vision turned Lagos into a mega city. And Elizabeth Truss is British Prime Minister, and collapse building Lagos commissioner resigns. Okay, which story are we starting with?
Okay, let me start with telecom. So the federal government, through the budget office of the Federation, had revealed that it would begin the implementation of proposed excise duties on telecommunication services and beverages in 2023. But the Minister for Communications and Digital Economy, Professor Issa Pantami, was saying that he does not think that this is right to do that. Already that particular sector is overburdened. That this ICT telecommunication sector has been sort of like the backbone of our economy for a while. It's making so much contributions to our GDP. And even as it is now, even with the contributions, they are taxed. And this excise, extra 5% will just overburden them. And the thing is, this will be moved on to the consumers. It will be heavy on Nigerians. So he is not, he does not agree with this extra 5% that the federal government is looking to add. And we'll see how his view, how it would affect what the federal government decides to do going forward. But I think that his opinion is valid, really. Yeah. We should not overburden the sector just because they can afford it, but overburden it to the point that, you know, Nigerians are going to suffer on top of it. All right,
so there was a 30-minute documentary that was released yesterday that was describing Asiwaju Bola Tinubu as the pathfinder of Lagos State, and it was telling the story of his exploits from how he became governor of Lagos State and the various things he did. I mean, if you watch the video, it's quite instructive of the various things he has done. It's how he envisioned, and it was what really stuck out from that video was the fact that he was a visionary leader. I had a vision for the rail line, the metro line, which initially started by Lateef Jakonde, but he was able to put out a 25-year plan, which you all know. And he has classmates from the Chicago State University, and also an auditor from the Mobile Oil Producing Company came to verify that he went to school there, and he also worked at Mobile. I mean, it was a really intense documentary, and I think the documentary is coming too late, because this is an information that we should have known about Asiwaju Bola Tinubu years before today. But it was quite an informative documentary, and I think it's worth watching just to have an idea behind the stories we hear on social media, the perceptions people develop. Mm-hmm. And you go read the documentary or watch the documentary to have the true perspective of this person that is running for president.
Okay, so I have the...
Okay, which one do you want to take?
What's
the insecurity? Take it.
Okay, no,
take it.
Okay, so yesterday at the media briefing, or joint news briefing yesterday between 4 ministries, the Minister for Information, Minister for Defense, and the Minister for Police Affairs and that of Interior, Aregbesola, were all briefing and saying that the worst of insecurity is over in Nigeria. That, you know, they are not saying it is totally over. They're saying that the joint efforts of our military and other security agencies is producing enough result. They went on to say that we would not see the kind, you know, of the Kaduna-Abuja train attack again, because that area is very safe now. The Abuja-Kaduna road is also very safe now. They're giving us inventory of all the areas that are safe, but as it is now, the same article, I love that the nation also took inventory of certain recent attacks, the kidnap of the DPO, and, you know, the kidnap again of the person, the
7 million
go between, and, you know, several other areas that are still porous. I hope that, you know, while they were taking this briefing, they took all that into cognizance.
Any other story, YK?
No, they also talked about the Kuje prison, because the Minister Aregbesola was there.
Yes. So I have that story in another paper. I wanted to drop this.
Oh, really? So they talked about that also? Mm-hmm. Interesting. Yeah. Okay, let's move on quickly now to the Punch. No agreement with Tinubu, can insist. Talks tough. Earthquake kills over 40, destroys homes in China. Fraud. EFCC arraigns Ogun Speaker. Assemblies 10 witnesses. 4 more building collapse. So 4 more building collapse corpses recovered and commissioner resigns. 5,307 kidnap robbery suspects arrested in 2 months. FG suspends 5% telecoms tax on calls and data. Flooding killed 372 persons in 8 months, says NEMA. And 11 state varsities shun ASU, FG threatens unions. And BPE raises panel to revive dying government-owned companies. Okay.
The building collapsed.
Yes.
So they found another 4 bodies yesterday. And they're still searching. And those people were actually sleeping in the building. And then the commissioner resigned, and his resignation was taken over, was accepted by the governor, who wished him well and says he's going to restructure that ministry.
Well, okay. So let me take the picture story. So while our own incompetence, I guess, is causing deaths in China, they had the ones from nature, an earthquake. They said was a massive one, magnitude 6.8 earthquake, where it killed more than 40 people. 46 people were killed in the quake, as the Chinese media says. And, you know, a few reports, a few of them said that they had an earthquake in June, but wasn't as serious as this one that they just had an experience and all the lives and properties that were lost. So,
does earthquake give them warnings? I just wonder.
Sometimes, when we hear, when people get I think a short warning. They get a short warning. There will be tremors. They start to get that.
Okay, so I have the major headlines. So Khan had to come out yesterday because they were speaking. Let me find out the person. There was the spokesperson. The statement by the spokesperson was saying, Luminous Jana McKay was speaking on behalf of Khan yesterday, saying that they read a report that talked about the fact that the attention of Khan was drawn to a media report titled "How Tinubu Met and Resolved the Muslim Ticket with Khan." He was saying that is false. That yes, Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu came for Reverend Kuka's 70th birthday party, no doubt, and he made some donations, but that doesn't change their stand, that they're definitely vehemently against the Muslim ticket. And yes, they've had conversations, but their position has not changed. And because he came for the party does not mean that they're changing their position, that they're still insisting that the Muslim ticket is not the right approach for the coming elections. So I think that's the nutshell of that report.
In a good precedent, the Ogun State House of Assembly Speaker has been charged to court by the FCC, and the counts are about 11 of them. Himself, along 3 others, are charged for having diverted 2.475 billion money meant for to run the affairs of the house. And the FCC, these people are not immune. So when we see lawmakers being investigated and some people are carrying sentiments around, it bothers me. But this is a good precedent. The FCC have already charged him. They arrested him initially. They investigated him, and they granted him bail. But now he's supposed to come back and resume his defense. So great.
Okay, let me go on a quick break. When we come back, we continue with our review. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Yourview will be right back.
Thanks for still reviewing the papers. Moving on now to Daily Sun. Banditry terrorism will end December, says federal government. Kanu's detention, FG not bothered about insecurity in Southeast, says Igbo youths. ASU strike, TUC urges FG to borrow to end crisis and fund education. Al Pepe, Ayu and gang, says Wiki. Lagos commissioner resigns as death toll in collapsed building rises to 6. Tinubu Shetima won't distance themselves from Buhari's government, says APC. Kuji attack, 888 inmates escaped from prison, says reps. And FG suspends 5% duty on telecom service. Okay, I was going to say Governor Wike, because, you know, Governor Wike, this matter of PDP is yet to end, because Governor Wike, yes, he has tagged those people, Ayu and his gang, small boys. according to Governor Wiki, while he was commissioning the Osisioma flyover, he was saying that one of his friends, Ikpeazu, was asking him in the plane that he should just leave everything to God. He said, why are we overcrowding God? I have what it takes to crush them. Governor Wiki is just he's a vibe. He says, I would, he said, there are children, you know, that let us stop crowding them. I would crush them. He'd say, obviously, he was saying it himself, based on his conversation with Ikpeazu in the plane, saying that he has what it takes to crush them, and God has given him the power to crush his enemies. So now that I know I have capacity to flog these small boys, you want me to leave it for God? I won't do that. I am going to flog them pepperly. When we start, yes, pepperly. When we start campaign, we will know who is who. Hey, Governor Wiki, gaga.
He also said, what is important is when the time comes, we will know when the jungle matures. We will know. He says, when the jungle matures, we will know those who can stand crisis. He said, look at what they said. They said, your governor, Abia State is a boy. That Wike is a boy. Sheyi is a boy. Oton is a boy. Uguan is a boy. But see what boys are doing. Tell them that as men, they should know us what they have done.
In addition, no, scene three. In addition, look, nobody should bother about any abuse on me. I am too much for it. I don't even know when I'm abused. If they like, let them put everything on social media and abuse me. At the end, you will know who is relevant or not.
Yeah, don't chopo.
Scene 4, Mikey, pass to you. Are you ready?
Am I ready? If they understand the modus operandi of what we are doing, they won't waste their time. If you like, go and meet Ikpeazu. If you like, go and meet Sheyi. If you like, go and meet Oton. And if you like, go and meet Guan. Fine. I pity them. People think the relationship can be bought with money.
See what is
It's a lot more, but we can't continue.
We have the movie soundtrack.
You guys are crazy, bro. You soon get the call.
I should say the governor has just approved the additional recruitment of 1,500 teachers, and this is because there's an existing gap between teacher-student ratio, and he's been working in the 45 months to see how he can revamp the educational sector. He says the area that needs teachers is the rural areas especially, and so this manpower, they will be considered first in this recruitment exercise, and he's brought the number since he started recruiting these teachers to 2,500, and they did this exercise of recruiting these teachers. They say they did it properly. They used in collaboration with JAM to do this.
Okay, moving on quickly now to Vanguard. 48 hours to NEC meeting, PDP sets for make or mass session. We're working on bringing relief to Eastern Port, says Bello Koko, NPA boss. Portals for Obi's campaign funds open next week, says Patotomi. Fresh nationwide strike looms in power sector. Cabinet resignations begin as Liz Truss becomes new UK Prime Minister. Kuje prison attack for 65 well-armed operatives were on guard, Aregbesola tells reps panel. Kidnappers of 32 Ondo Bureau guests demand 90 million naira ransom. And Muslim ticket, revisit decision, Northeast, North Central, APC, stakeholders task, NWC. Okay, I was going to take...
Very quickly.
Go ahead.
The power sector strike. So you remember I told you that they have off light on our head. So they had got, yes, the power sector there was a shutdown of our entire, by the labor side of the power sector. And they just sort of blacked out everybody in the country. But they quickly were called and they suspended that strike. And now they're looking at it 2 weeks after to go back again and do the same. And this is because they are blaming government agencies, the BP and all other agencies, for harassing members of the union, and also shying away from meeting the major demands. One of the key demands was that, ex-entitlement, benefits of ex-PHCN staff was paid since the privatization, and that, they've been negotiating back and forth with the necessary agencies to see that these benefits were paid, and they've always had to, step down, compromise, and government seemed not to be willing to pay. Now they did this strike where they had to shut down everything, and government intervened. The Minister for Power had talked to them, but till now, nothing has been done. They keep shying away from this. So we're looking at another blackout in a short while. They're giving their warning again, and I hope that before action happens.
This reminds me of the tweet I saw where the Nigerians are saying, we are getting worried. This light is too much.
Yes,
they are giving it to save it.
Yes.
Save it. This light, I beg. They will just
somebody said it to me yesterday too. That was complaining that the electricity is a bit what's going on. That you come to the house and everywhere everything is cold. The fridge is cold. You can't even drink water.
I now have to be taking off things because the meter is just running.
Yes.
And that one said he's just happy. Just seeing lights makes him just happy.
I was in a
bit happiness.
It was 24 hours.
It's of stress.
24 hours.
Exactly.
Man.
People just smile.
And now they now issue this thing that Ali Mosho area, they are
in blackout for a few days. They're working on it. But people are now smiling, and they feel that I've changed that. That is just happy. Right?
And that gen noise in the background in Lagos.
I
can't stand gen noise.
Okay, I have a report here. Peter Obi's party, Labour Party, the chieftain, Professor Patutomi, has said that they're going to open a portal to raise funds for the presidential candidate. And although while he was speaking, the interviewer was concerned if it was not against the laws for people outside the country to donate. He said when he hit the run for office, that during his own campaign, people donated funds. So it shouldn't be a problem. He said it shouldn't be a problem. They said that no law should oppose the funding of political rallies from the diaspora. They are completely aware of what the law says. If you open a portal, Nigerians will be aware, and then they will support it as much as they can.
It shouldn't be against the law.
Yeah, I don't think
Why should it be? When the people from diaspora are sending money here, is that one against the law? No. I wanted to take the Akure, the abductors. They were coming from a burial, and they kidnapped them, and they're asking for 90 million, between 3 and 10 million per victim. One of the victims who escaped said they just came onto the road with AK-47s, cutlasses. They stopped them, and they marched some of them into the bush. He said he escaped. They told him to go and get his bag in the bus, and then he just crouched there till they left.
Okay, let's move on quickly to the Nigerian Tribune. President insecurity, Nigeria's greatest threat since civil war, says federal government. 44 kidnapped Zamfara worshippers working on bandits' plantations. Terrorists vowed to kill DPO in captivity despite paying 7 million naira ransom.
Wow.
Kidnappers demands 90 million for release of the travelers in Ondo. Nobody can break my rank, says Wike. Oyetola approves recruitment of 1,500 teachers. And EFCC files 11 charges against Ogun speaker. I am tired of this country. 14-year-old boy found inside parked aircraft says.
Yeah, I got that story. Yeah. So I don't know if you heard the story. I think it was yesterday or a few days ago. The stowaway was found in one of the aircrafts at...
Lagos?
Yes, Lagos here. So he was found unconscious and he's been revived. He said he's 14 years old and his name is Rashid Mufutau, and that he was just tired of the country. He's an orphan. And then he explained how he got access onto the aircraft, which is what is so scary. I mean, thank God he's just a 14-year-old boy, with no ill intentions that got into that aircraft. But it just shows that there is a problem, there's porosity. So they explained that he gained access into the airside through an opening at the Ile-Zik fan perimeter fence along the Lagos-Abeokuta Expressway. He explained how he was able to evade them, that he saw workers, but he was able to crouch behind bushes until he got into the plane. They asked why he was unconscious. He said he had taken some drugs and then no ventilation, of course, where he was. So that's why he was unconscious. But it is scary that someone can just find their way into an aircraft without being apprehended.
The Zamfara worshippers that were abducted, the intelligence that Tribune is relying on says that the bandits say that their harvest, their maize and whatever is ripe for harvest, and their captives have no other job to do but to help work at their plantation. And I'm hoping that this report will at least provoke a reaction from our security agencies. Since we are saying that we have conquered the insecurity, I would love to see that, you know, they go into that place and save those people, because now they're working like slaves on some bandits plantation.
They're not even asking for ransom for them.
Yes.
They need them to work on their plantation.
Imagine.
I think the most scary part is the kidnappers have plantation.
They have government, they have kings, they have they are turbaning, they are getting married, they have everything.
That's all we can
Plantation
say.
is the list of the things they have.
You know, the picture on the Nigerian Tribune was really interesting, seeing these young pupils of the St. Paul's Catholic School, Apapa Road, cleaning their school as resumption. And that's something it's just fun to watch, to see kids in uniform. It's just
I didn't like it in my primary school, making us sweep. Primary school.
That is all we can take on Front Page Review. When we return, we move on to our hot topic of the day. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back.
Thanks for staying with us. So this morning we're going to be discussing sodomy. And more importantly is because one of the avenues pedophiles sodomize young children is through the trust of parents to religious leaders. So there are a few stories we're going to reference where we saw that a religious leader, either an imam or a pastor or a minister, is put in care of a child. And at some point, the child is sodomized. Now, that's an issue. However, what is more important for us to discuss is the fact that parents are still trusting, or should they continue to trust, that somebody who they refer to as a religious leader should be able to take good responsibility of children and not sodomize. That's the conversation, because we're still having a situation whereby parents are handing over their wards to imams, handing over their wards to pastors and ministers and clerics. You're thinking to yourself, is it that the world has changed? And we can't trust a man of God? We can't trust an imam with a child again? Or are there still good ones out there? Or what should be the modus operandi when you feel a child needs a special spiritual attention? I mean, as I've said, I've shared this story several times, that when I just got back fresh from the US, every small prayer, I used to fall and die, fall and fall down. And when I was like, how many demons did you bring from the US? They carried me to MFM to go and do 7 days dry, you know? And I was like, what is going on here? And I was just left there. I was still fresh. I didn't know what was going on. They just put me there. And I was there. I wasn't a child. I was an adult. But it was a parent saying, okay, you need some spiritual cleansing. Go and do 7 days. There are some children that parents feel like, this girl needs some deliverance, or this boy needs some deliverance. Let me go and give it to the pastor and give the child to the pastor. But should that still happen today? Can we still trust our imams with our children? Or should we just hands up and do your deliverance in your house? What are your thoughts on this, trusting spiritual people with our children?
I think we have it all wrong. Because pastors, imams, they are human. And they have all the faults that humans come with. We are mistaking our pastors and our imams for the Almighty. The Almighty is the Almighty. Once we can learn to differentiate between our spiritual leaders and the Almighty, maybe we will start to think before you go and drop a 12-year-old child with a pastor or an imam. Why? That means you are incapable. That means Social Security should take your child. If you cannot deliver your child from whatever demons you think
your child has.
Your child has. then you don't deserve to be a parent.
But Mary, let me come to Nima, actually, because as a young person, they take, especially Muslim children, to Lekil at a young age. They just take you to Lekil and you're there to study the Quran, and that's how you learn. We did that growing up. I mean, as growing up in a Muslim home, as a child, we used to do that. But can we still do that today when we're having trust issues now with our men of God?
Okay, so Lekil is the school, Arabic school, and so I went all my life, and it's okay to take your child to school, but to delegate parenting to the person that's supposed to teach. The difference is teaching the child, and you know it's within a regulated amount of hours during the day. You as a parent, when you drop off your child, you know when to come back to pick your child. You are still checking. And the story we were referencing in this story, this 11-year-old boy was given to a 28-year-old Arabic teacher, and the boy came home to explain to his mom that I don't want to go again and be sodomized. Because the parents just, left him there. He was there like a boarding school. He came home for Salah and was saying to his mom, I don't want again. I think that is totally wrong. For instance, my kids don't go to any Ilekeu because right now I cannot trust the same, even my Ilekeu as a child, when I was a child, I heard stories of how one of the Afars, one of the youngest Afars that arrived at the time, was dating one of the girls. So abuses happen. And because, as YK said, they are human. You need to put that issue of them being human first. There's nobody that is holy, except you see God yourself. You need to do what you need to do as a parent. What I cannot stand is somebody put up a religious front and say, because I am that religious, in Islam, we're supposed to revere people of knowledge. So that reverence is now done without checks, done anyhow. A person who has not exemplified themselves, who have not, stood out for anything, not just see somebody, one person is speaking Arabic, I just cannot stand that thing. Growing up, my younger sister never attended an Arabic school. She became a scholar at home, my father being a scholar anyway, but we know that all this dramatizing, all those things, they're human. Right. And so you must put that knowledge before that. When you hand over your child to anybody. Right. I subscribe to an online class, and my children are becoming Quran Hafiz, studying at home.
Let me come to Mariam, because when you say a child has spiritual problems, I always wonder, how does a child have spiritual problems? I mean, if you're an adult, you feel that, okay, I need deliverance, I need some spiritual cleansing. You and an adult make that decision. But a 12-year-old, because in this story that we're reading, the Ogun State Police, they ran this Pastor Michael Abiodun of the Lighthouse Gospel Church over raping a 12-year-old church member. So, if you could read the story through, this child obviously was taken to this pastor. Why would we take a children to? I don't understand.
For many people who grew up in Nigeria, I'm sure maybe 5 out of 10 households, you had a parent that would take you to church so that they will pray for you. And you used to hear this, you have a spirit husband. They saw something in your future that was not good, and so you have to do some things. And you'll be asked to drink all sorts of things. It's a culture. It's a culture that we believe we're a very spiritual group of people, and we believe that we believe in the spiritual, which is good, but we also believe that there are some people who have the express relationship with God, that until we go to those people, we will not hear from God directly. These are the people that once they close their eyes or say a prayer, God answers them immediately. And because of all the things that has happened over time, I think people are thinking twice about how you just leave without questioning, especially young people who are vulnerable with these people. The truth is, there's nothing wrong with having spiritual leaders. There's nothing wrong with having people who would pray for you. It's their job, it's their calling, as they say. They have the training, they have the experience, they understand, the different prayers. And it's also good to have someone that is like a support, a spiritual support. But that does not mean we should close our eyes to the fact that they're humans, as YK mentioned. They're still human beings. And as a parent, we need to put that into consideration. The people that have been, the stories that we have read before, it's not just children that have been abused. Even full adults who find themselves in such compromising situations, and they're questioning, did it just happen? Did this person just do this to me? And I've heard women say they found themselves in this situation and they were unable to say anything because first they were ashamed First of all, what took you there? You know, that's what people would ask,
Let's
even though you
discuss.
have been asked to go there. So it's just,
Let's
maybe
discuss
we
what
should
took you there.
rethink this culture, you know.
Let me
of
go
just
to
trusting
that
people.
angle you took with Mariam. That what took you there? Because what takes somebody there is usually the manipulative sermons we hear. Let's dig further. Some of the manipulative sermons we hear is, when I touched that child, I saw this, and I prayed, and we saw results. And then the child passed the exam. You hear this, and for you as a mother, that's a testimony. This is my very, very strong-headed boy that I've been trying to get him. Maybe when I take him to pastor, he will lay his hands on him or her. And all this she wants to do lipstick, she wants to do her hair, she wants to color her hair to be green, maybe to calm down. Pastor, please pray for my daughter. She's just 12 years old, and she's coloring her hair green. Please, that is part of the... So you believe that when the pastor touches that child, and then she'll come about better. And you keep taking that child there, forgetting that is parenting. You're handing over parenting to the pastor or to the imam. YK, let me let you come in.
No, I was just going to talk about a couple of years ago, the Catholic Church got into some big scandal over a lot of children that they had molested.
Absolutely.
It was a big scandal. I think the guy was even jailed.
I mean, it was a whole generation of people
that had been abused by the
years.
church. In another unrelated story, but related, there was a nunnery in France when they dug underground, they met corpses of babies.
Ooh.
So the nuns were having babies and having them, giving them
and burying them.
Or burying them. They were skeletons of babies. So it still goes to this. We are hearing more now because of social media. It's not that this thing is new. It's not that it is just happening. It has been happening.
So
I think White is trying to say that we have used religion has been used to carry a
lot of
crime
evils.
and evil, but because it's religion and because it's spiritual world and these are spiritual leaders, we don't question it. Many times here, when you want to talk about some spiritual leaders, they say, "Touch not my anointed," meaning you can't question them, whatever that they do. But as parents, we need to do better for our children. We need to understand that they are vulnerable. There are some things they'll be afraid to ask because, first of all, they think they're before an adult. And the way we raise Nigerian children is that you are not too expressive with an adult. You listen to the adult, you obey the adult, you do exactly as the adult says. And some of these molesters will say to them, "Don't say anything. If you do, you'll be killed." So before you even hear anything from these children, the damage has been done. And you can't totally blame children because we know of adults who will go through this and keep mum as well because they are ashamed that it happened to them. They are ashamed that they would not know what to say. And they're trying to even understand that maybe it has some spiritual connotations. There used to be a time now we had women who wanted to have babies, and in the end, we find out that it's the spiritual leader that actually gave her the baby, you know? So we just need to do better as Nigerians. The mindset of that spirituality, we have to question. If it affects your child's rights, your human rights, then it cannot be right. God cannot be both good and evil.
Let me go on a quick break. When we come back, we continue with this conversation. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Yourview will be right back.
Thanks for staying with us. So, YK talked about the Catholic Church, and I like to reference that because we know about the practice of exorcism, which the Catholics practice. And it's interesting, I read there's an article that I saw from David Carey saying that exorcism has increased after the U.S. protests. So it's still widely practiced, where people believe that a person is possessed by demons, and then you have to go through a spiritual cleansing to bring out the demons. So that is there. However, the question is a lot of parents that believe their child needs deliverance. So the practice is rife and it's there. But when you feel your child needs deliverance, how do you ensure that you're taking your child to the right man of God or to the right imam. Because in the story that we're taking, Waiki, where this woman has lost 2 children, they died. This is her 3rd child. She doesn't want this 3rd child to die. So she wants this child, there are evil spirits killing my children, or maybe ancestral demons killing these children. Please help me cleanse this one so this one doesn't die. And then the pastor rapes this child and says it's the devil. So it's the same question. There are reasons. We don't just take our loved ones to a pastor. It's because we expect that it's for a solution. Well, how? So who do we hold responsible? Is it the parents that will take it, or the pastor for being irresponsible? Who should be responsible for this?
We should have laws that is holistic, that takes both guardian, whether parent or guardian, and the imam both liable for this kind of things. Remember the stories that were breaking from religious houses from up north to Ibadan, Islamic religious houses, where parents who have a difficult child, and rather than sit and work at, helping that child through, or sitting up and becoming a parent, because some of these things require that you give up your own life. We had a mother who escorted her daughter, who wrote a book on our show here, and she said she had to leave her career, was it the dad that left his career, to see that girl through? So some parents don't understand these things and we make it cheap. What I hate is that, they take their child, go and dump at a place where the child is chained, beaten, and they never check back. Sadly, some will check and make it make sense to them. I don't know how it makes sense to them that their child is being tortured like that and they say it's for his own good.
Yes.
Somebody sells it to them that it's for his own good. How do you see a human that is not even related to you?
But they will testify as others, that others went through that path and came out good.
The person is now conditioned.
Let's say,
and you think it's okay.
Let's say your child is wants to color her hair green, for instance, like you said, and you take her to this pastor, and then she doesn't want to color her hair green. She just goes into herself. She becomes quiet. Then you now think,
it has worked.
Pastor has done his work.
Calm
Not knowing that they've raped her.
They've raped her.
And she's coward,
She cannot talk again.
And she's
Let me
tired
take
that
this
she's
call
even angry
from
with
Dr.
you.
Chukwu, who's been holding for a while. Good morning, Dr.
Response.
Chukwu.
Contributing.
Good morning, Burayo. I'm first time caller.
Welcome to the show.
Of course, I want to just contribute to the pastor and imam issue. The truth is that some of the people we call our pastors today say that God called them. And I think most of them they are the ones that call themselves. And another thing I noticed is that parents are more religious than taking care of their children. Every man, every woman, or as a parent, is supposed to be the first pastor or imam of his child. But in this case, like we have a school here, you notice that in the course of this, some of the Muslim people in the school will tell you, no, I want my child to go to Ilekeu. There's nothing wrong in that Ilekeu, but how much do you know that person teaching that your child in Ilekeu? Or even the pastor you are handing over your child to take care of. How much do you know him? How much have you been to his private life and know his kind of person?
Yeah.
Or because your friend said, my child is doing this, so send your own child to do the same. Honestly, most of the times, what we give, when we release our children to these so-called our spiritual fathers, we end up having them being worse or destroy more than they left.
Right. Thank you, Okechukwu. As I said, there are testimonials in Mariam of people who have been through this. They took their child to a pastor, and the child came out better, and they feel thankful that, God delivered my child. So, and they recommend that to other people. We better take them to Pastor Lagbaji or to Imamu, that they can pray for that child, because that's what I did with my son, Shegun. And Shegun is now he did straight A's. He's now in Harvard. Yeah. These are word of mouth that we share. So because we have that, people will take their child to that place to get spiritual cleansing, especially having challenges.
Yes, but parents have to understand that parenting does not stop because your child now has a mentor, or has a spiritual leader, or has a teacher that has taken an interest in him. You will still ask the questions. You will still teach your child to know the signs of, abuse, or people who are grooming, signs. You should still build a relationship with your child, that your child feels safe, to talk to you about things that they may not even understand, you know. And that's the problem we have here is because you have been told that this is a spiritual leader, then you leave the child there. Whatever the person says, however it sounds to you, even when it does not make sense, even when you know that it does not follow the law of, you know, good behavior, you still want to push it away because with most religions, with Christianity especially, the one that I practice, there's this thing about a spiritual leader who cannot be touched, who cannot be asked. You know, that religious leader, whatever it says, however it sounds, he's right or she's right. And when we talk about telling people to use, you know, there was a time where we were now telling Nigerians, oh, use your brain, ask the questions. You were not seen as having faith. You have lost faith if you're asking questions. You have to have blind belief, you know, in the word of God. But truth is this really the word of God, or people who have manipulated it in a way that they want to take advantage of the vulnerable? As a parent, you have to do the work of parenting. Keep an eye on your child. Ask the questions. If something does not feel right, as a parent, I always feel that we have that inner instinct that just goes off when something does not feel right.
You and I can be reasonable and be rational enough to know not to do these things. But there are people who are watching who are totally dependent on whatever the imam says, whatever the pastor says. They are totally, you know, there are some people that if you see how their entire life is structured around, mommy said, you know, daddy said this. So it's all about what mommy and daddy have said. And I don't want to discountenance that because, you know, I reverence my own daddy Gio and mommy Gio. If daddy Gio calls me today and says, Brian, Afolabi Brown, how will he go?
Yes.
Without asking questions, because I trust him. And the same reverence I have for him that they have for their own spiritual leaders. So the question is, how do we now decipher what is right and how to teach our children to decipher?
Put your interests first. Put the interest of your child. In fact, first of all, have clarity on what that interest is. I remember my child being in an Islamic school, but I just would not sleep right, knowing that he's 2, and I leave him with somebody that smiles every day and he seems fake to me. So I would come to school when it wasn't expected. I would tiptoe to class without wanting somebody to announce me. I would watch and I never caught anything until he told me he was being abused. So he couldn't even express himself, but the moment he called a name at a scratch or that was unexplainable, we took it up and I found he was being beaten by that person. Sometimes, and the priority is that child. As I am, I don't even know whether anybody is existing. If I didn't have a child so helpless, you know, as they are growing and now, I know that sometimes when they tell you that, no, there might be another side to that story. But when a child is on that certain age, there's no other side to the story. When you want to carry your child for any form of deliverance, is it a place you have access? Because some places, there was a documentary BBC did. Some places, I think somewhere in Senegal, you cannot access. Once you drop your child, go home. You will see your child in a year. They'll tell you, don't worry, it's a process. The one that happened in Zamfara, that parents were coming to pick their children in chains. They couldn't see those children ever. They will not line your children up to go and beg for food for the imam. That's not a place that's not a place you can leave your child. So what you said
now is that you put that child first. Even if you trust, because I'm trying to
you cannot trust.
I'm trying to I'm trying to be in the mind of the average Nigerian who completely and totally trusts Daddy Gio and Mommy Gio. If you as an adult, you can go wholeheartedly. But when your child is involved, there's no Mommy Gio, Daddy Gio that is too big to trust. You must know what they do. You must have their, you must be very clear, crystal clear what you're doing. Be there. Do your research and ensure that this place is safe. Yes, let's deliver us together.
Deliver us together, all of us.
Right, let me pause you for a quick second. Sorry about that. Let me take this call and I'll come back to you, YK. Dio, good morning. Are you there?
Yes, good morning.
You're live. Go ahead, please.
Good morning. Yes, first-time caller. Good morning, everybody.
Welcome to the show. I think it's the first time.
Is it first-time caller?
And welcome back to the hot grammar.
Hot grammar. Volume is pretty low. I can't hear you, but go ahead.
Yes, please. This topic is very key and very, very nice. So I grew up with my aunt and everything. She had a child, a daughter. She was autistic, kind of. So she took her to a pastor. I mean, day before, the pastor said, okay. But after a while, we realized that the 3 children were sleeping with her every night. It was horrible, it was horrific, I was sad and everything. But one day, she became pregnant. We had to take her away from there. The key point is that it's not because he's a pastor, a reverend, or imam. Do you trust he himself and those whom the pastor lives with. That's the key. Thank you very much. Good morning.
Who got pregnant?
The autistic child, they had to took her there. It was the pastor's children
They were
who
abusing
were
it.
sleeping with the girl. The poor child.
Wow.
Do you understand?
That's another part.
Sometimes it's not even the pastor, it's his family. Or maybe his...
Or
So
the
they take
church members.
advantage of, oh, she's autistic, she might not know what's going on, or she might not be aware,
we
she won't talk, she
so
won't
many
say
of those
anything.
stories.
You know,
So
it just boils down to, don't give your responsibility to another human being.
And spiritual deliverance, like
There
it's
is no, I
difficult
don't
for
care.
you to
There
do
is
that
no
yourself.
Spiritual. You and I can decide which spirituality we want. Your child cannot. So it is your duty to guide that child. It's your duty to watch over that child.
Found, yeah.
But okay,
Right.
let's even talk
No,
about
let's
parents.
sink that in for a second.
Yeah.
That's important because what you're saying is that we adults, we
already
define
know.
spirituality, but a child, you cannot define that for a child.
And also, the Christianity makes it, talks about the blessing that you can give as a parent to
Exactly.
your own offspring.
Thank you.
So you have that power that whatever spiritual father does for you as an adult, you can do that for your own child. You are
Yes.
your own child's
Transfer it.
spiritual
Yes.
father. You can pray for your child. They say you can even curse
Exactly.
your child. So
You
why
know,
not
and
lay your
patience.
hands on and take care of your child?
Yes.
When you give birth to your child, physically you have to nurture it, breastfeed it. You cannot hand it
Did you go
over
to your
someone
pastor
else.
to help you?
To breastfeed
deliver
it.
the child?
So you
Was
go
your
to
pastor
so
Mara, let
if
me
I can
quickly-
understand, I come to you. If I can understand, you get that spiritual source from your pastor, from wherever it is, and then come home
Use it
and
on
do
your
deliverance
child.
for your child in your house.
Yes.
By yourself.
But let's add this caveat. Every situation requires patience. It's patience and prayer. What we are looking for fast, that we are dumping our children in places where they say, go, don't look back. Oh. Just love the child. As you are going, don't look back. A child that you birth. That's fast. It doesn't happen like that. Some situations are they require so much because some take so many years. But you will see that child turn out well. I know children who were trans at birth, who were, as young people, who turned out to be the best of character, virtues, and those challenges life puts towards them is forming them for adulthood. As a parent, your decision is not to listen. Your position should not be to listen to everybody judging that this is speaking. I talk like this. I do like this. Your decision, your position is to watch your child and say, this worries me, and seek help for those who would understand and continue to put in effort to make that child better. Little by little, but gradually but surely. Not to carry that child, this pikin, they do it. Take. You have solution. So how they do it doesn't concern you.
Just fix it.
If it is Igbala beating,
And the same goes for schools.
the spirit.
The same goes for schools, especially when you put your children in boarding school. I would advise, if your child's school is the one that they say you cannot call, you cannot visit, you cannot...
Some will say you can't take teacher's number.
That's
a
some
rubbish
will say you cannot reach out to their teachers. Red flag.
Take your child and run.
You must be able to reach out to your child. You must have any time. Well, I don't know about any time, but there should be a time, and then you should be able to reach out to someone anytime you want.
Yes.
You should be able to come and visit unannounced sometimes. But you see those schools
unannounced,
that...
right?
Yes,
Just how many people want to come unannounced?
Unannounced, you should be able to do it.
It's an instinct thing.
You know, it may even be an inconvenience, but they know, well, I'm here. I don't know what you would like me to do, but I'm already here.
It disrupts the flow of the school every day.
That excuse is false.
I have to get a break. We have that story when we come back. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Excuse me.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back.
Thanks for staying with us. We're still discussing sodomy, especially with religious leaders. And I take a few tweets on social media.
He says, Morayo said, is the manipulative sermons. But isn't that what religion is about these days? Do you know what it takes to convince a full adult to give up 10% of their cash and more every month? Daddy Matilda says, entrusting children to religious clerics is simply illiteracy and a result of having more children than one can cater for. most especially those sent to live with Muslim clerics for years in the guise of Quranic lessons. No stranger can look after one's child better than they.
Okay, Ashade Miracle says, I'm sure there are many people dealing with this problem and are ashamed to talk about it.
I mean,
Simon Rose says, sorry, no one person gets God number alone. If you build yourself spiritually too, they will only confirm what you know already.
So
teaching.
I was going to go ahead.
She says, this is why I limit what I discuss about my children to my own mother. She has this same mindset. Everything is a demonic attack. Now only you demon they chase, and your hands clean. Why the fear?
Many people on this table.
So let me just remind us that demon binding and casting is not just an African thing. We all do it. And I was just reading the article by Mr. David Curry saying that in Portland, Oregon, Archbishop Alexander still led the procession of 200 people to exorcism, and they tried to remove the demons in Portland, Oregon after lots of violent protests had come to the community at the time. Same happened in San Francisco, where Archbishop Salvador also did the same thing. So the point is, the concept of deliverance, the concept of removing demons, spiritual demons, is something that is biblical. That's the standard. Once it's biblical, it's not manipulated, it's reference. However, human beings manipulate that or take advantage of that and twist it and then commit crimes by sodomizing young people. So the question is, how do we ensure that our children are with responsible adults, which we've discussed? And we're now saying that, listen, because they are children, they don't make the decision. You as an adult, you get the spiritual cleansing on behalf of your minor and then deliver the child. That's what we've spoken. That's where we've gone so far.
Let me tell you what
I've
seen that I consider an abuse. So a person suffers mental health, let's say schizophrenia, for instance, he's heavily, and we in Islam, we believe that there are spirits called jinns that attack a person. Then there are licensed way of doing it. That I know in Islam, where they call it ruqya, where prayers are read to the person's ears to bring him to calmness.
Right.
But you now have a person who doesn't have any license, no training in psychiatry, nothing to prepare the person, offering a solution where he believes to chain and beat and use chemicals or drugs or things that I don't know how to put it. I don't want to call them drugs.
Psychoactive.
Things that he mixes unexplainably to your child or your relative to bring them to calmness so that he can then say he's reciting to their ears. So if you go to Dubai, you see hospitals that are licensed psychiatrists that practice ruqya.
Yeah.
You go to Saudi, they do that. They practice is where they recite, but they know how it is medically advised to calm the person till they can recite, and so that's how it is done. What you see here, God forbid bad thing.
Wait, hold on. Let me take this call from Qatar. Good morning, Samuel. Are you there? Oh, I'm so sorry. Oh, he's there. Hello? Samuel?
Hello,
Yes, go ahead, please.
Yeah, I just want to contribute to the topic on grant. I think the parents have a lot to do regarding raising up a child. Because trusting... Hello?
Go ahead. We can hear you. Go ahead.
Yeah, because raising up a child is only the grace of God. Because my dad is a pastor, and he normally watches over us. Even before we go to, when we are sleeping at night, he will come to check on us, both the male and the female. So I think the major thing is the parents. They have a lot to do, watching over their children and the person they go out with, and just to like a policing, just to police them and guide them in the right thing. Keeping your child with any pastors sometimes might be something else, but parents have a lot to do regarding monitoring.
Thank you very much, sir. Okay, yes.
Yeah, one of the stories we read, the pastor, the girl was 12.
Yes.
And he raped her till she got pregnant. And it was this deliverance. Yeah. Now, what I wanted to say about your demonic exorcism. You see, I agree with Nima to the point where I think it's mental issues. Because the brain is a very delicate, it's the most delicate part of our body. Just one thing can turn you mad. You can take a drug that will just
like that.
And then they will say you have demons. You can. So please,
Okay,
if you think that people have demons, send them to where they fight demons.
So for that.
Not you, pastor, or you, imam, think you can fight any demon. Take them where they deserve to be.
Where is that?
Jonestown. I mean, you people don't remember the story of Jonestown.
Yes.
He manipulated those people.
They died,
Killed themselves.
Right,
And then they killed themselves.
Yeah.
It was manipulation.
Let me take this call because I still want us to bring it back to the fact that it's the reality of a Nigerian parent to feel that my child needs spiritual cleansing and they take the children. So, the difference I want us to clarify here, the decision for a parent to say, pray for my child, is not bad, but is how to ensure that that decision is taken with proper precaution. And also, how do you ensure the responsibility of the adult who is praying for the child? That's where I want us to...
My child can be in the house, you can pray for her.
Don't leave your minor with your spiritual leader.
Taking us somewhere.
Even you not go and sleep.
No matter how you trust.
Exactly, and if they must go and sleep somewhere, you'll be right there beside them, sleeping with them.
Let me take this call, Mike. I'll come back to you. Let me take this call. Good morning, are you there?
Good morning.
You're live. Go ahead, please. Catherine.
Okay, my opinion about this is, I don't want to say I'm a victim, but I think I am. Because sometimes it's not really religious bodies. It's family members, friends, people your parents respect. Okay, because I was a victim of this kind of a thing. It's not really pastor or a man, but someone your parents respect. And they'll expect you that, even till today, I can't tell my mom that, this happened and all that. Because, why? Because she'll be like, this person cannot do this.
That's
it's not possible. Do you get?
Yeah.
And it's annoying that the person you're supposed to confide in, that's supposed to help you fight the fight, is the one now telling you that, this person who is supposed to be someone you're supposed to hate or not like or not come close to is not advising you to even be closer to the person more. It doesn't make any sense to me. But I think a lot of things have to be put in place because it's annoying. And
thank you, Catherine. So, Nima, don't we trust anybody? Can we trust?
No, see, this is how it is. Your child's first call. What I have seen in experience is that the child, when abuse comes home, and the mother is like, you want to saw this man's name. If that is your first sentence,
You have lost that child.
you have lost that child.
Forever.
And this conditioning, YK gave an example of when the child just suddenly goes quiet. The child is so angry that, you pushed me to this. You took me to this person. You made it possible. I could have, escaped or done something, but it was your choice.
Yeah.
And imagine that you're damaging your own
Abdicated
child.
responsibility.
Thank you. While you're looking for solution. What you call solution. Sometimes, maybe your child is different. You have 4 or 5. They're not all the same. One is just different. So that child does not exactly have the money. If you look into the family very well, you will see that child is the black sheep that took the genes of the black sheep within your family. And that's the honest truth. Because we're all different. We're not all the same. Yeah. We are 5 kids. We're not all the same. I see 2 different people every day in their choices and the way they talk. So when they grow up tomorrow, and one is easygoing, and the other one is not, and I'll say that child has demons.
Who defines whether black sheep is good or bad? And why must black sheep be bad? Why must everything black be bad? Excuse me. I will go with my father's family. My father's family, everybody was, his first sister was a nurse, his 2 brothers were doctors, he was the only musician. So he was the black sheep. Today, he's still the black sheep.
No, he's not. He's the whitest of the sheep.
So who defines what is black?
So would we say he's white? She's still a black sheep.
I'm not saying whether I'm not saying who says that black sheep is bad.
I can argue that Fela is still a black sheep.
I didn't say black sheep, but I said who defines whether black sheep is good or bad. If I decide to be a black sheep, doesn't mean I'm bad. It just means I have decided to be different.
Thank you. Let's use the word different. So who defines that being different is bad?
Aha.
So you know,
color your hair green doesn't
you are
make
the
you bad.
one. No, you are the one who set the parameter for your name to be remembered. So you want all your children to do doctor, engineering, medicine, and something else, accounting, so that your name will be remembered. But if God wants your name to be remembered in another way, it's the one child who would set themselves apart and do something different.
Anyways, we have to wrap up soon. Let us bring it back to the conversation. Let me let you come in here.
No, I was just going to say there's a Christian saying that says the rejected stone has now become the cornerstone. So where you have the person that is different and everybody's trying to understand how do we understand.
Biblical student.
How do we understand
This she's feeling it.
You know, it happens that way. So the black sheep, I guess, has a lot to do with racism, where everything that does not work well is termed black. But concerning this topic, it's important that we understand that some of these things that we call spiritual problems is the fact that people who are supposed to handle these spiritual problems don't have the necessary experience or education to diagnose a problem. There was a time autistic children were taken to pastors to be healed. There were so many times I've seen like people with Down syndrome taken to churches because they thought an evil spirit had embodied, had consumed them. And these children were taken back and forth. But now we have education, and I hope that many Nigerians are aware that we have other issues, mental health issues. You can take your child through the right process. And we're also hoping that the churches are aware of this and educating themselves too, so that for those Nigerians that still believe that their first point of call is the church, they will meet an experienced and educated pastor or man of God or woman of God who would direct them to the proper place, the hospital, a therapist, to deal with it. Because many of these things are not spiritual problems. They're just problems that have been misdiagnosed or not diagnosed at all.
This story of this woman who took her 12-year-old to the pastor, and the pastor raped her, and got her pregnant. That girl was pregnant for 7 months. The woman didn't know. Is that a responsible parent? She's not a responsible parent.
Who has lost 2 children. Her mental state also can be diagnosed. She may not be mentally stable. She lost 2 children. This 3rd child is her last child. She's
last child. But if it was Oyinbo people, we would have found out, was she a negligent parent? What happened to those 2 children that they died? What kind of illness did they have that she did not take them to the hospital for? She took them to the hospital that they were not properly taken care of. We always just end up, we have a situation and we just say the devil had appeared.
Why can't you have a relative
not
supervise what you're doing?
Anyways, we don't have that side of the story, so let's not debate it. But the point is that we have to wrap up on this, and I think the real crux of the conversation, I also want us to pinpoint what I think Catherine has said it, that it's not just pastors. Trusted family members. So somebody you trust, your family member. And when I hear this, I cringe because I want to be able to I want my kids to be free with their uncles and aunties and people. I don't want to keep thinking, oh, this one is around, please do. I mean, is that a new world we're living in now that we have to constantly be afraid? Constantly be afraid.
Yes, equip them. I saw this video online. A parent was getting her 5-year-old child prepared for school in America, and they got him a bulletproof bag. That's their reality.
Abi?
You will prepare your child for the present realities, and that is to be able to speak to you, tell you everything that they feel that they're uncomfortable with, notice what they think, what you have taught them to be red flags. That's it. What can you do? There was a time we were teaching children not to pick money off the ground because there were stories of people turning into goats and whatever. You have to do it.
Some parents go on, they get bow legs. There is this little boy. There's this little boy. The cousin that came from Nigeria was abusing him. So he told the mother, I don't want this uncle bathing me again because he touches my bum. The mother called the boy. But anyway, call family matter. The parents from Nigeria said, no, their son can't do that. They didn't prosecute that boy, or put red flag on his head. They sent him to another family.
To go and do the same to somebody's child.
To go and do the same thing to another family. Because it's our family secret.
Secret family name.
So this is matter for me. Please, talk it out.
Yeah.
Okay, we have to wrap up. But see, in a nutshell, I think what I even have learnt from this is that, listen, a minor is a minor. A minor cannot decide to go for deliverance themselves. You are the adults in this conversation. So if you feel my minor needs some kind of deliverance, it should be deliverance with guidance, with your guidance, meaning that you were there. I mean, as I said, I was an adult when I went for my own spiritual deliverance. And I was like, I was in the right mind, even though it was said I was sent by my mom, but I was an adult. But if I was going to send a child, don't send a child completely and totally to somebody you can't vouch for. Even if you can vouch for the person, don't. Mm-hmm. Because they're a minor. So we are this deliverance, we're doing it together. When you're done deliverance, I will stay here and watch you. When you're done, all of us will go to our house together.
It's family problem.
Or worst case scenario, give me the scriptures. Or give me the Bible, Quranic verses. Let me go home and pray to my child. And I trust and believe that faith, the child will be healed. But don't leave your child over to anybody.
When you want to pray for your children, don't you pray by yourself?
Yes, Thank you.
You don't have to call your children to pray for them now. So if you want to pray for my child, pray for your house. I don't have to bring my child over to you to pray for my child. Pray if you want to pray for my child in your house.
But there's something laying at hand.
No, laying my head. You're taking my child.
No. Don't say what you don't know. Laying of hands.
The spirit that revealed this to Waike, what she
spirit is giving
this.
Laying of hands.
There's a story in the Bible where a centurion came to see Jesus and talked about his child who needed to be healed. And Jesus said, go, your child is healed. The centurion was wondering, you will not follow me to the house? Like, no, he has spoken. The child that was miles away was healed.
Did Jesus not lay hands?
Sometimes
Jesus laid hands. So let's not pretend that Jesus laid hands on people. And
but sometimes he didn't. Our reality now is don't touch hands. Don't lay hands.
That's our head. Nobody's taking.
It's very important.
Nobody's taking anything. That is all we can take on today's segment. When we come back, move on to our Let's Talk, which is more of health. Stay with us. No, not health.
Yeah.
Traffic and traveling in the Ember months. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back.
Thanks for staying with us. So when we say Ember months are usually globally recognized as just the last 4 months, September, October, November, December, where increased activity across all fairs. But in our own climate, it means something totally different. It always connotes tragic things that happen to the point where religious institutions now have church programs to ward off evil in the Ember months. You know, we've branded this thing called Ember months to be so negative. However, because of that, we have to discuss Ember months in Nigeria. So we'll be having from our Abuja studios to discuss this sensitization exercise on ways of reducing possible road crashes in the Ember months. Is the Assistant Corps Marshal Bisi Kazim, Corps Public Education Officer, to join the conversation. Good morning, sir. Are you there?
I'm here. Good morning, Juan.
Good to have you on the show.
Yeah, good morning.
Right, so right now we are clear that there are lots of road construction going on, especially on the Lagos-Ibadan corridor. There are some ongoing, I think, is the Abuja-Kaduna and other places across the country. Aside from that, mobility is expected to increase in these Ember months. What is the FRSC putting in place to ensure safety of citizens to and fro their destinations?
Thank you very much. Specifically, one thing is acting commercial for especially the Ember month. And that's number one. And the effort is to just guide to let the motoring public not
I can't Okay, we can't hear him, but hopefully we can get some reconnection because we're having difficulty in hearing him. But let me come to you. I mean, we'll talk about how we can be safe. But this Ember months thing, everybody gets so scared. December, September, October. I mean, it's as if we've just invited, I don't know, again, demons. Since I talk about demons today, we just say, okay, demons, oh.
You were going to say that?
Like demons, okay, so we expect, we know that September, October, you're coming, You know, I don't get it. Why do we brand things so negative in this part of the world?
In our country, when you said Ember months they're recognized globally, I'm like, really?
As the last form,
as
like
Ember
yes,
months?
Ember months as activity, more activity. Finish.
So I can understand the more activity because a lot of people that's like the last quarter of the year.
Yes.
You want to make sure that whatever you need to, Kalimasa, you do it quickly.
You shop more because winter is coming. You
Yes,
shop more to keep in the
everything,
house.
yes.
Just do travel stuff. Go for heat.
So and then usually. I know that towards December, a lot of people are traveling, especially for us here in Nigeria. People are traveling and by road. But we have issues with speeding because people would say those who are traveling, the bus drivers themselves are trying to drop off their passengers quickly so that they can do more rounds. That's one. Then maybe people are just excited again during that period. Christmas is in the air, holidays in the air. So, you're driving reckless.
You want to quickly finish. Let me just finish on my plans.
No, I think there's just this.
Just the
once
rush.
you reach September, you're coming to the end of the year.
Yeah.
You're coming to Christmas. You are hoping and praying. You see next year.
Yes.
So everybody is like excited. September has come.
And there's more church activity because there's back-to-back,
So everyone is just thinking.
More church activities.
There are more church activities.
I must see next year.
And people now start getting creative. Can you call Ember months? All the flyers that come out, everybody's now talking Ember and people are rushing events. Yes.
Oh, they like those Ember months. So they push you, buy all sorts of gifts.
Because growing up, I used to see this rush and then too many things happening that people are predicting. And I hated the fact that when something happened by coincidence, people continue to say, it's because it's Ember. So I just told myself, I quickly aligned myself. That period of the month is my most calmest, most peaceful. Enjoy your new year, your crossing to the new year, and that's it. So I hardly travel. I don't rush. I don't join people to rush. My mom used to say, all our weddings in this family will be in December because, harvest season. Things are cheap. I used to work, yes. Used to work, but I'm not doing.
But in my own church, we have Ember months are months time to remember for good. Have time for God to remember. So we have to change the narrative. You can't continue to Ember can be negative. Ember months for us is a time for God to remember us.
Waxing poetry.
Yes.
Remember
Yes.
Ember and remember.
You obviously don't go to church. You'll be hearing rhymes in church. If you don't pay your tithe, your hands will be tight. All sorts of rhymes in church. I heard our guests, but let's not digress. Good morning, sir. Are you still there? Internet issues. Okay, so let's go on a quick break. When we come back, we'll try to see if we can handle the connection and continue our conversation with our guests. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back.
Thanks for staying with us. Unfortunately, we're unable to get our Corps Marshal, Bisi Kazim, back on the phone. We're having network issues. So we're going to go back to our previous conversation on giving up our children to religious leaders, institutions, and family and friends. There's a story that also broke. I'd like to link this to Brigham University is a Christian school.
Yes.
And there was a recent report of a child who was being abused by his senior. It's a university, actually, not a secondary school. Being abused by his senior. And what was worrisome was like a parent that sends you to a Christian university assumes that because it's a Christian school, certain values will be upheld in these schools. And so when you hear this kind of thing, I'm happy that Brigham University had suspended or even expelled this person. However, this is part of the confidence parents have when they send a child to a Catholic school, to an Islamic school, to a Christian school, hoping that they have certain values and the children wouldn't have to go through this kind of abuse. So it goes back to what we were talking about earlier. But when you say, when there was a report recently also, but a school that something happened, I can't remember the name of the school. I found out this Christian school did not get proper approval. So when the government dug further, they realized that if I come out to this your matter, everybody will know that you guys didn't do the proper, you're not even approved to run a school in the first place. You know, so sometimes we just go blind. I say, oh, because it's a Christian school, let's drop our children. You don't find out, do you have the proper approvals? Do you have the, are you an authorized school? Is the principal authorized? Are they educators? Or just some Tom, Dick, and Harry just woke up, say, Pastor, let me be the one to be the head teacher of this school. Oh, Sister Mary, you've been very good. Please be the head teacher of our school. This is my name. Is she an educator? We don't know that. So these are things that we just, because it's a Christian school, we just close our eyes and say, put our child there, we are okay.
Yeah. It's just to also clarify that the abuse in this case was physical abuse. So this senior was using a big stick to flog another student. The student looks much younger, so maybe he's a first-year entry student. And the other one looked like he has spent many years in the university. He even had a pot belly. And he took that stick and he was whacking that poor child.
I didn't notice the pot belly.
Yeah, I noticed it because I was so upset with him. I looked at him very well, so I would recognize him wherever I see him. And there were other students sitting down there, so they were obviously afraid to even stand up for themselves and for the child that was being flogged. And as far as long, yes, we know that bullying happens everywhere and abuse, as we see, happens everywhere. But the truth is, parents also are willing to take that extra step when they hear it's a religious affiliated institution. Because as you mentioned, they're just these values that you believe that they will uphold, that they will push for. And that the people who are there, the teachers, the lecturers, the staff, would all carry themselves in that way. And so when you see something like that, then you're like, so really, then what's the benefit? What's the benefit of having Christian? Because they use it a lot to sell, you know, their institution. What is then the benefit if my child is likely to face what they will face in a regular university? Some of these universities are even private universities, so they're even expensive. So what else are you doing? In this case, we hear that that child was immediately expelled. But over time, for me, it sends a message that this is something that may have been happening for a long time. It took someone on social media for us to see it. So who is keeping an eye? And when you say that you're a Christian university, a Christian secondary school, everyone else in that institution, are you keeping an eye to make sure that they are following, you know, the principles?
You know, while you're speaking, I just remember that there's a young girl I know that went to a Christian secondary school. And, I mean, I've not had this conversation with her, but she doesn't even know that I'm even talking about her. But I noticed that she's a bit withdrawn. But I thought because she went to a Christian school, maybe they don't allow them to, they don't play the video, they don't do anything, they're just regular. So she went through these 6 years. But it could be, and I'm not saying that's what happened to this person. She just keeps to herself a lot. When you see her, she just doesn't mind her business. She may have been, I mean, I'm not saying that's what happened, but sometimes when children go into the schools, things happen, but because you can't speak, it's a Christian school. We pray in the morning, we pray in the afternoon, we pray in the evening. We have Bible scholars, our pastors, our teachers. We can't say. We just trust God to deliver ourselves from it and just believe that everything will work out in the future. So that's some of the things. It's a whole different day's conversation. But these are some things that happen. So I think the point of this conversation is that even though your child goes to a religious body, a school, or even to a pastor, don't close your don't close your eye to it. Don't close a blind eye to it. You have to be very clear and demand what you will if it was a regular secular school.
Yes.
So what I think is, no matter what the school is, have your own rules. That, you know, these are the kind of schools, the kind of people, the kind of, you know, that I can take. Once my child's school, a Muslim school, of course, somebody had called and said that, no, she abused, she slapped somebody, she bullied someone. I said, because I know she's a born madam. She's a boss lady herself. She could have, you know, and I called the school. I said, please check into what happened between herself and this person. Because when she came back home, she said, Mommy, they were lying. This is you, and I've done it before where I would say, because you're likely to be the bully. And she would be like, I didn't even do anything. And so I said, can you check? She said she didn't do it. She said, don't worry, ma, we've sorted it out. I said, no. I want to get to the bottom of it. When they would not listen, it was at the time we had the crisis. I was in the hospital. I put my phone on record. I called the school. I said, can you put the girl on the phone? And I asked the girl, what happened? She said, no. I just had to. She didn't actually bring me. I just tapped her because just to caution her. And then, why did you report that she bullied you? Why did you? I said, Auntie. So I took the recording. I called my daughter in front of the person. Now I'm calling. I'm not in school. I said, give the phone to my own daughter. What happened again? And she said exactly what she had told me. I said, did you hear what she said? Because you put on speaker. I said, did you hear what she said? Just to get both sides of the story, because sometimes they are lazy in doing the administration. They don't want to do the stress. We have other things we are thinking about. And this thing is affecting the child. Wow. My own concern is my child. And if she's the one bullying the other child, then that child. So whatever how it concerns what I'm producing or the turnout of my child is 100%. I'm not even ashamed to say when my child bullies someone, I address it immediately. So I want to be sure somebody is not lying. And twice now, I've been caught and forced to admit that, I misjudged my child. So I will not allow somebody else to do the same. I said, oh God, why did you refuse? Say, Ma, it was addressed yesterday, just caution both of them. I said, but this thing is affecting this child. Are you bothered about? We're busy, ma. I said, don't tell me that again. So I took that evidence and I said, I'm coming down to school. They had to address it immediately. So sometimes, as a parent, it's beyond dumping somebody for somebody. Even if it is university, now it's more painful when it is in a university. We are even grateful it's a private university. We are not sure if cultism is how it is in public universities. I saw cultism. It could be that is a force to force that child to come and seek protection. So somebody has to do something. The school is beyond suspension. The school has to go more than investigate.
I think they expelled him.
Suspended him. Expelled. So they're supposed to go beyond that. For the people who had to do video, is it just a mere bullying case or something more? So that you don't have something that you are not prepared for brought into your school. If it's public school now, we know that there are so many factions and all of that.
I want to know, legally, can that child be taken to the bully? Taken to
of course,
because those are adults. Yes.
Yes. So is underage, though? Yes. Can he be?
Underage?
No,
university. Oh, yeah, sorry.
And is it enough to just expel the person and the person goes away? You carry the person and
the parents of the abused child can actually file in court.
But even the police can file criminal
assault.
Yes, because it's assault.
Yes.
And until we start to even take serious
prosecute these people.
Yeah, it's going to continue. When you know that you bully a child and you can go to court and maybe even sleep in jail, tomorrow you will think about it.
Yeah, because, you see, as I've said it before, and I don't want to just sound like a broken record, nobody's going to go around start educating people, say, this is the law. But when we have tools like the media, tools like Nollywood, tools like the movies, these are the movies that are supposed to look at our laws, interpret it in your movies. That is what Hollywood did. Everybody here, we all know the Miranda rights without being Americans. You can recite Miranda rights from the beginning. You have the right to be silent. Anything you do can be used against you because of your right to an attorney. We can recite it. How? It's not a movie.
Yeah.
So if we put this, we want that is our own. Put it. Let citizens know what their laws are, so that almost everybody can automatically. You don't have to have Miranda. There are other rights we have.
What is our own?
We have.
You have the right to
Wait. The point is that we have other laws that are human rights that protects us.
Yes.
We need to start getting familiar with these laws and put in our movies. So when Sister Sade in movie is talking about this and she's moving, we know what we can tell her because we know what her right is. So that's how we educate citizens.
Yeah.
We have to wrap up. So let's take a few comments and we run off.
Okay.
Tell us our own now.
No, you have to go and research it now. How many books has she read?
You have the right to a lawyer. That's what the police will tell you.
You have the right to a lawyer.
Just call your lawyer.
Do you have a right to a call, to make a call?
Yes, you have the right to call a relative. You have the right to be charged within 48 hours. We have our own.
We have our own now. Just put it together, package it, brand it.
Let's package it. Packaging.
Okay.
Rolake says, religious leaders are human and they possess reproductive organs. As parents, especially mothers, we should be conscious of our kids' behavior and always have listening ear. Things are getting worse by the day because we have been brainwashed to avoid saying the truth. Festus Akimboyewa says, Ember months are not different from other months. Looks like only us Nigerians that are afraid of the Ember months because we are too superstitious. We should thank God for each and every day and stop wasting our time in fear.
I'm telling you.
Thinking the Ember months are risky.
And those small, I categorize with all, I'm sorry about this. I saw those, you know how we categorize low income and not low income. the small scale pastors. That's their way to. That's money generating strategy for them. Me, I don't do the small scale pastors. I'm with the big boys. But those ones,
you want to chill with the big boys.
Yeah, I don't do small. I don't do those mushroom churches, pastors. I'm just saying, Ember Mons. Those ones your neighbor are making noise. Ember Mons. A prayer against Ember Mons. It's not your portion. They not come now. People now gather against them.
There's one thing I fear in December. They will do this procession awareness for their camping. Oh God. Come out. They will carry big speakers, and one person will willingly carry it. If you are sleeping in the afternoon, they pass by your window, you will wake up. You will do bagam in your ear.
It is sensitization.
You cannot be caught sleeping in the last day.
I just want to mind my business. Somebody will not come and put speaker at the junction. If you do it again, I'll call the lamp for you. It's too much.
Don't worry, that's a topic for another day. But please, Ember months are not tragic months. What it really means is the month where activities are increased. Now, because of that, we might record more accidents because of this, because there's more mobility. But it also means that we have to be very cautious on the road. So we will bring back the FRC because he's going to tell us how to ensure safety during this period, especially because there are lots of road constructions ongoing. That Lagos-Ibadan Expressway, there was an accident that happened recently because of this, and the traffic of 6-7 hour traffic because of these constructions. So it was in August. If it was in September, they say it's because of the demon that is being Ember. Anyway, so please, we're still going to bring up the FRC officer to give us clarity on that. But be safe, stay safe, and Ember Month is the time to celebrate, be joyful, and it's time where God will remember you for good. Hey,
poet.
September to remember. I can say after me, September to remember. Hey, it will be a September to remember.
That's Topaz line.
We'll see you tomorrow. Bye for now.